Welcome to D&D for a new player. To start, many people may ask, what is D&D? D&D is, in the end, a way to tell stories, an interactive world you explore and affect. There are two roles in D&D: the Dungeon Master, the person who controls the world and guides the players throughout adventures, and the player, the adventurers who interact with the world. When I was a new player, I had a lot of questions. So I'll attempt to answer some of those questions new players often have in this video. Rules. To start, you don't need to know all of the rules, especially as a player. Rules are important for you to know as a player. The most important thing is getting the Dungeon Master that knows the rules. Dungeon Masters should know the rules. It is an essential part of being a Dungeon Master, and if you as a player do not know the rules, they can help teach you along the way. I learned the rules along the way, and even if it was difficult starting out, it helped me in the long run by making sure I remembered the rules. Roleplay. Roleplay, in the end, is the core of Dungeons & Dragons. Starting out as a new player, roleplay can be very difficult, and that's completely fine. Some aspects of roleplaying you might find difficult or uncomfortable, and again, that is completely okay. One thing I know most new players feel embarrassed by or find difficult is character voices and getting into the head of your character. Character voices. I want to start by saying it doesn't matter how good your voice is or if you do it or not. Many new players find it quite embarrassing, especially if they aren't good at it or don't know the other players very well, so they don't feel comfortable doing it. Now, these are completely valid feelings and concerns, but it's completely fine feeling this. Being comfortable and being good at your character voice comes with experience. And if you never feel comfortable doing a character voice, don't do it. It's completely fine not to. Next, getting into the head of your character. What I mean by getting into your character's head is making decisions like your character would. This is a much more complicated part of roleplay, but I would say it is the most important part of roleplaying. To help with this, I recommend writing some example situations and what your character would choose in those situations. For example, would your character in a situation where they could sacrifice themselves to defeat the villain do that or not? Such a situation can help you figure out their mental process, their personality, and decision making. By doing this, you can help compare what they did in a certain situation to what they would do in another situation. Character creation. Creating your character is one of the most fun aspects of Dungeons & Dragons. The question is, where do you begin? Classes. There are many classes in Dungeons & Dragons, 13 in total, and countless subclasses, which can make it very difficult to choose one. Some people think that they should choose the best class for damage, but in my opinion, that isn't important whatsoever. Pick the class that you want, the one that you can roleplay, and the one that you find interesting. The biggest choice you can make when determining your class is whether you're going to be a spellcaster or melee fighter. Sometimes melee classes can get spells, but for the most part, it's one or the other. Pick the one that fits you and your backstory. Your backstory is how your character became who they are, and their memories and experiences. Writing a backstory usually seems like a daunting task to new players, but what most people don't realize is that it's much more trivial than they think. You can write a backstory by asking a few easy questions. Who were they before they got here? How did they learn to fight or cast spells? What are some major events of their life? These questions can help you, but the best thing you can do is try to find inspiration in other hobbies or things you find interesting. Your two biggest responsibilities when writing your backstory is first, teaching yourself how to roleplay your character, and second, giving your Dungeon Master things to use and incorporate into the campaign. Combat. Combat is really just how you use your weapons or spells to defeat a monster or enemy. The biggest thing I would say about combat is don't try and optimize your damage or your character to do more damage. It takes away the focus from other aspects of the game, especially the creativity aspect. The two most important things in combat, I would say, is having fun while not getting unalived and being creative in your attacks and approach to defeating the monsters. Spellcasting. While not every class gets or subclass gets spells, they are still very important. Spells are a bit similar to combat, even though they are not used only in combat scenarios. One of the biggest things newer players struggle with is managing spell slots and using them wisely. The magic system is one of the hardest things for new players to get accustomed to, and especially spell slots. A lot of new players spam spells on one monster, and I mean, that's very understandable. Defeat the monster quickly, right? But this is a pitfall many new players fall into, as you are most likely to fight multiple monsters. In the combat section, I talked about not optimizing damage, but optimizing your spell usage is somewhat needed in this aspect. Not to an extreme, but at least using your spells wisely and not using them when they aren't needed is important. Another aspect of spellcasting, and yet another I talked about in the combat section, is being creative with your spellcasting. New players might not know, but you can choose how your spells look if they achieve the same effect. Such as the light cantrip. For a wizard, it might be a small fire in their hand, but for a cleric, it might be a small bead of floating light. Customizing your spells can be very fun and adds to your role-playing experience. Dungeons. It's in the name. Dungeons are a staple of Dungeons & Dragons. The biggest thing I would recommend when going into your first dungeon, or even your 100th, is don't worry about traps or monsters. Even though they are important, focus on exploring and having fun discovering new things. Even though monsters and traps are important to remember, really, a dungeon serves as a thing to explore and discover things, including monsters and traps. And most fun of all, treasure. So remember to have fun and explore when entering dungeons. Homebrew. Many new players may ask, what is homebrew? Homebrew at its core is content that you make yourself that is not made by Wizards of the Coast. Homebrew, in my opinion, is one of the best things you can include your campaign. As a player, you can't do nearly as much with Homebrew as a Dungeon Master, but you can still do some cool things by talking to your Dungeon Master about including some of your ideas. Why I love D&D. I love D&D because in the end, it is a way to tell stories. Having fun, exploring the world, fighting monsters, it all boils down to telling stories and having experiences you'll remember. One of the first things I learned about D&D, even though I don't remember where from, is D&D is about making stories to last an age. D&D isn't about optimizing your build or winning a fight. Although some people might find that fun, it's about sharing experiences together with a group of friends or strangers which you'll likely become friends with. I love D&D because it will have a lasting effect on you, whether good or bad. And most of all, I love a good fantasy world. I hope that this video has helped you on your D&D journey and answered some of your questions. If you like this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and drop a comment down below on what was helpful or any more questions you have, and I might make another video on them. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.